Hey everybody, welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with John of JCW Creative. We're going to be talking branding, imaging, maybe some likeness, all things under the sun when it comes to business, persona, how you're projected to the world, and also how you're projected to your employees within. We're going to get to all of that stuff, but before we do, big, wonderful shout out to the amazing sponsors that make this show possible. Government Taco, Falaya Real Estate, Lake Men's Health Center, Horizon Financial Group, and Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge. Without further ado, John, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, sir.
How are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm making it, man. I'm making it. It's another day. We're past tax season, so for me, that's a little bit of a breath of fresh air.
Check.
But now we're back into the grind, and we're sitting here and enjoying some lovely conversation.
That's right.
So who the heck are you, and what do you do?
I'm John Williams with JCW Creative. We are a marketing and creative services agency. We work with clients to create their story, to tell their story, and to achieve their marketing goals. We're just over 10 years old. We've been doing this as a team for a while, and we work with great clients locally and afar to tell their stories and capture their authentic selves. I began the business as video and video content creation, and so clients that are great for us are ones that have a story to tell and visuals to tell, and we love the opportunity to do that.
So how did you get into marketing?
Or
do you define yourself as a marketer? What's the definition you give?
Marketer, storyteller,
Okay, storyteller, okay.
The definitions, those are always fun. I began when I was 13 years old. I mowed lawns. Something inspired me to mow lawns to save up to buy a camera. And so I worked all summer, mowed lawns. I needed $600. And I took that money to Best Buy with my dad and put that money down to buy the camera I had wanted. I was short. I didn't know about sales tax yet.
I was about to ask, did you know about sales tax?
So Dad, that was my first loan as well. Dad spotted me the $100 for sales tax and then paid him back as the grass grew longer. But from that point on, it's been using a camera to tell stories. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. I used the camera in high school to film basketball games and football games and weddings and, make a promotional video for the school and work for other local businesses up in Memphis where I'm from. And then brought that down here to LSU. In college, I went to LSU and was a student videographer on the football team under Coach Miles and got the opportunity to film practice every day and games and be a part of that program where I learned a lot about Baton Rouge, a lot about Louisiana, a lot about the culture down here and the people, the food, and just wanted to stay. And so throughout college, I met clients that are our clients today and started building a team and a company here.
It's one of those first lessons every young entrepreneur learns when they go to buy a big ticket item, is taxes.
Yeah.
For my case, it was tax, title, and license when you purchase your first vehicle. Just enough cash to purchase the vehicle. My dad goes, okay, now you got to register it. I go, oh, how much is that going to be? 10%. I'm like, hey, Dad.
Yeah.
Don't quite have enough to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
After you do that, you learn that very valuable lesson. That
They don't teach you much about taxes in high school.
No, and the price tag's never the final cash payout. That's one thing to keep in mind. So you did grass cutting.
Yep.
That's not an easy first venture. I did grass cutting as well. I think I was probably 11, started with my brothers, who was 16, got a truck, did the whole, let's cut grass this summer. It was brutal. Why did you do grass cutting?
That's a great question. I don't know that I've ever thought about that.
Lemonade stands are a lot easier. You could sit in the shade.
There were some lemonade stands. I think ultimately it was the cash payout of a lawn, and the lawns needed to be cut, and it was a recurring income source.
That's a good train of thought. Recurring revenue source and everything.
Right. So it was something I enjoyed doing. I now don't cut the lawn. It turns out that I am allergic to everything that grows.
You serious?
Yes. So I don't cut the lawn or work in the yard, even though I love doing it, because I I won't be able to breathe for a few days.
So is this something you developed later in life, or did you have this ever since you started cutting grass and you just thought it was, it's just the heat or something?
I think it was that. I finally, a doctor had me a few years ago do an allergy test, and that's when I found out.
Very nice. So you figure out grass cutting is not your long-term play.
That's
it
right.
was this camera thing.
Right.
What about the camera drew you into it?
I think just capturing moments. We constantly forget things that happen. We forget the past. And so just that ability to capture people's raw emotions, capture, things as they happen. If you work with us, we're not going to stage a lot. We're not going to send you questions ahead of time. We're going to do it off the cuff. We're going to get you in your element and in your action, because that's how you are. That's your authentic self. And so that's what it's always been. It's about capturing those moments and getting to relive them later, in whatever way that looks like.
Authentic storytelling.
That's right.
Is one of the most beautiful things you can ever capture within and using a camera, because you get, like you said, that real raw moment. Even if, like you said, you hadn't thought about that question before, still taking that time to hang on a sec, let me process this, let me think about it, and then giving your answer. It's okay, this isn't prepared. This is not a speech you wrote out and going, okay, here are our talking points, put it on the teleprompter, let's go through what we have to go through. It's no, this is what we feel right here and right now. And then looking back on it years ago, you can see how you've grown. I've done that with the show, where I look back on episodes from 2020, and we had Brian Haldane on. We were recording on my screen porch, and he was like, I have to go. We have 5 cases of COVID in Louisiana. And like, that was a big deal at the time. Wow. Whereas now we look at the times and how things have shifted. When you take a look at somebody telling their story or their business 20 years ago, and do like one of those rewatch videos where they rewatch that interview and then they do the same interview again, and you can see how things have changed. It's powerful.
Yeah.
So you bought the first camera, you did some recording. I mean, were you posting this anywhere? Was this a source of income, or was this purely still just a pure passion project?
Yeah, so I brought that camera into school because I was naturally a nerd, and had it in the hallways, and brought it into math class with our algebra teacher.
You were filming math class?
I just had the camera in the class because, you walk around with your camera if you have a camera, obviously.
I was homeschooled. I wouldn't know. But okay, I'll take your word for it.
So my teacher, who was also the coach of the varsity basketball program, and now I went to a high school that had only been around. I was the 4th graduating class. The lower school, it originally started out as a day school. So the lower school, K through 6, had been around for 50 years. But when I was there, they had built a middle school and high school. And so there was a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of ways that students could get involved in ways that, wouldn't normally be common. And so the math teacher, Coach Ruffin, at the time asked me, is that your camera? And I said, yeah. And he said, how would you like to film my basketball games? I need somebody to film my basketball games. And I said, sure. And so, I'm 13 at the time. He's driving me home, and picking me up after school, et cetera. And we're driving to the basketball games. And so I really fell in love with sports, and I fell in love with sports videography. And as I was filming the games for him, I noticed that there are parents all around who want that footage. And so I started working the bleachers at halftime and timeouts. Hey, you want to buy season videos? And so I'd sell, the whole season of 25 games for $100 was the price.
That's not unreasonable.
It's not unreasonable.
That's pretty good.
Shit,
what is that, $4
a game? And if we go into the playoffs, that's included. That's a added
value. Was included?
It was included. So, got them all.
Yeah, yeah. So wait,
hey, everybody loves to watch little Jimmy play basketball.
Oh, absolutely. And then they don't have to worry about, for a technology reference, what year are we talking about here?
We're talking about 2004.
So this is pre-iPhone, right?
Pre-iPhone.
So this is pre-time when parents could grab their phone.
That's correct.
And record little Timmy.
Yeah.
This was now, how are we going to get this footage? How are we going to reserve this?
And to really put it on in technology, I had to. Now I was filming on high def tape. But I had to put the film onto VHS for the coach because that was the only way he wanted to watch it.
On VHS.
On VHS.
So was this at the time where you could sell DVDs to the parents? Okay.
So I was selling
what
DVDs.
What is this process to convert?
So this process was, first of all, I just bought a converter where it ran to a tape while I was filming so that I could give it to him after. And he loved that because you could stick in a VHS and it's right where you left off. So you can be going over the game or going over a play and it's right there.
The power of VHS.
Hey.
Like that technology.
That's right.
That's
right.
The technology you could rewind with your fingers, best technology there was.
So it was DVDs. So I would go home every night from a game and I would download the media to the computer. Now this was actually back in those days where like mini DV tape, you had to back it up and then like play it back into the computer. So it's not like it was just, grab a clip. So I had to record it into the computer. Still many days, so many early days. Yeah, early days of the digital technology. And so I would play the game back, and Mom, of course, hated this. It's like, why aren't you working on school work? And I'm just like, this is my career. This is what I want to do.
Filming games or filming?
Just filming,
okay.
Working with it. I knew that I was going to be able to take what I was building in the future and make something more of it. And then at year 2, so the first year I filmed, it was 7th grade. I was in 7th grade. And then the second year.
You're doing this as a 7th grader?
Yeah, the second year I'm in 8th grade. And I got smart this year. And I said, you know what? Not only am I going to sell these parents the $100 tapes, I think I might have gone up to 120 the second year. But I'm also going to inflation.
20% inflation.
That's right. I'm also going to ask them if they want a highlight video of their.
So now you're going to have
Jimmy.
edited videos,
right? And I realized that if I got this commitment at the beginning of the season, I could log.
Well, let's back up to the economics of this. So CDs were not as cheap as they are now, I'm assuming. So were you even profitable?
I'm not sure. There were no costs.
I know for sure you weren't filing sales tax reports.
I was not filing sales tax reports. I can tell you that.
Okay.
My mom did file taxes under her of my income because I do have P&Ls all the way back to this day.
You do?
I do. So I could go and look at the cost because I did record every expense.
Okay, we would love. I want to post one of those with one of your posts.
Okay,
when this goes on social media,
dig it out.
I want to attach that photo.
It was
as a little kicker. If
you've
Excel. Got it, just
yeah.
Oh, it was in Excel.
It was in Excel.
It was digital.
Income and expenses. Yeah, yeah.
So you were the tech guru of your time.
If you say so.
Okay, so 8th grade. I'm loving this.
So 8th grade,
$120.
Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, I'm highlight videos. You want a highlight video? You want a highlight video? And once again, everybody wants a highlight video of their child.
And so this
even if they're good or not. And which I regret
even
that
they
later.
were on the bench the whole game.
Right. End of the season, there were a few players that I was like, shit, I got 4 made baskets all year. How am I going to make a highlight video that I pre-charged for and got prepayment
so
up
how
front?
much were you charging for this?
The highlight videos would go up to like $250.
You doubled your price?
Yeah. There was a lot of effort.
So in addition,
and so now I say all this because I'm
to the
coming,
normal videos.
Yes, and so I'm coming home at night. I'm burning the games to a DVD. Then I'm copying them for the, let's say, 13, 14 parents that got them.
Smokes.
But
wait, 13 or 14 parents? You're making serious money.
Yeah.
As an 8th grader, that's impressive.
And then I realized into year 3 that I'm at these games anyway. I might as well do this for women's basketball. So I then copied the business model to women's basketball. But I would stay up at night and I would log. So I would say that, Jimmy had a basket at 10:45, on this time code.
You would log that?
And so I would log every player.
You wouldn't pull from the sports reports from the game?
No, I'm saying like
don't
I would
they
log
document
that time
that?
code.
Oh, the time
I was
code.
basically building the highlight videos as I went throughout the season, so that when we got to the end, I'm there.
Yeah. So you'd already had
Yeah.
number 43 at 2 minutes and 15 seconds,
and I'm pre-cutting.
Had a nice
I'm
little
placing
pass.
them, And every year I got better. I mean, because I did this from 7th grade to senior year in high school.
Yeah. Okay. So what kind of computer were you using? If this is early 2000s, I mean, you're not using
Yeah.
Adobe Premiere or anything like that?
No, I was using iMovie for the first few years, and that was getting
you had a
very
MacBook.
tedious.
You
I
had
did
the
have
top of the line.
Yeah, back
Okay.
then it was it wasn't an iBook, but it was a PowerBook, I think was the name of it back then. PowerBook 15-inch. I trashed that thing too.
You burned through it.
You know, I would bring it to the games, because every year things would get more technologically advanced. And so by sophomore year, I actually figured out the technology. I think like Ustream had come online. And so I figured out the technology to route the camera feed through my laptop, because our school had Wi-Fi. It was a brand new gym. And so I basically live streamed the games. And so I would push out to the student body, the game at night. And so people that weren't there could watch it online at home. Now, once again, this was 2007.
That's impressive for a student to get done on their own. Like, I'm assuming there's no staff or anybody at the school that's providing assistance with this.
No, it was just me wanting to figure out, and it was I loved it.
So did you start requesting the school to pay you for your services?
So about sophomore year,
Because now we're streaming. We're doing a lot.
Correct.
We're doing a lot
Correct.
more.
We're giving
than
coaches
just doing a
film.
stationary film.
Right.
Like
Right.
this is a true service.
And then by then, I had the soccer coach committed for the spring. Basketball was in the winter up in Memphis, and then I had football in the fall. So I was doing it 3 seasons a year. We switched athletic directors about that time, and the new athletic director came in and looked at me and was like, "You're not getting paid to do this by the school?" I was like, "Yeah, but I'm making money from the parents and all that." He's like, "Great, and you should, but we should also be paying you too." So then the school started paying me, and we worked out a deal and went, did it through the remainder of high school. And basketball was my true love. I loved basketball. I loved the basketball team. We were very good. There were a few players that ended up going and playing in college. But every year we got this close to winning state championship. Not every year. Every year we progressed. And finally, when I was, I think sophomore year, we made it to like the semifinals. And then junior year, we thought we were going to win. We knew we were going to win. We were in the state championship. We lost by 1 point at the buzzer. And I was crushed. And that was, some of our best players were graduating that year. So, I was like, sure enough, there's no way we're going to do it next year. And then that next team the next year was a group of guys that was just scrappy and had all the effort and were great teammates and had been, growing up under these other players that had gone off and played college ball. And sure enough, in the year that nobody expected us to win the state championship, on my last, my last game of basketball, we won the state championship. In the night before the game, right? Now, I'm the videographer, okay? I am the videographer.
You're the videographer of the school at this point. You're
I'm
employed by the school.
Correct. And it's like 2 a.m. the night before the basketball game. I can't sleep. I'm so nervous for us. And I go down to the lobby of the hotel. So I'm rooming with the best player. I go down to the lobby of the hotel.
Wait, so you're also traveling with the team?
Oh yeah. Wherever team went, I went. I'm rooming with one of our best players at the time, and I go down to the lobby, and the coach is down there. So the coach and the video guy, the night before the state championship, are in the lobby, stressed and anxious and freaked out, and all the players are sound asleep up in their hotel rooms.
Good, as they should be.
As
they
they
got to
should
get rested.
be. As they should be.
The work's on them, really.
That's right. So that year at the banquet of the basketball program, we won state, and the team and the coach, got up to do the awards, the most valuable player and the most improved and all that. And the coach got up and said, "We're not going to give out any awards this year for anybody, on this team. No most improved, no this. It was a team effort, but we're going to give one award for the guy that's been here for all along and has put in his time and effort into this program." And they gave me the award. And that just meant the world.
Wow.
Because it had been since 7th grade. I had been filming that team longer than any player had been associated with the team.
Yeah, I mean, this is 6 years at that point in the making.
Yeah.
That is.
And I loved it.
That's powerful. So do they still use some highlight clips from that season where you were filming?
They do.
And
They
like
do.
some big promo videos, they still use some of your footage?
Yeah. We still work for the school. Our company goes up and
y'all
does work for the school.
That's even better.
They'll be having the 20th anniversary this year of that campus. That's the high school. So we'll be going up in a few weeks and filming the celebration and being a part of it. The school's been was a big part of my growth and learning, and I love to go up and see how it's grown and give back in the ways that I can.
Yeah, I mean, that's your origin story.
Correct.
See, if only there was somebody capturing you capture them. That would have been a cool story to see.
Usually didn't happen.
They never get to the behind the camera shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, how important is that shot?
I don't think very important.
You don't think?
It doesn't tell the story.
Yeah, but it does when you have a story like that. It tells that story.
You're
It
right.
may not tell the story of the team, but it tells the story of the person who told the story of the team.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty cool. Anyways, so after high school, graduated. I
Yeah,
mean,
and so
you're
it
at this
was-
point, you're making. I mean, these parents are paying you hand over fist in every sport at this point. I'm sure.
Yeah. I didn't have to, mom didn't have to pay for anything for me in high school, which was great. I could go do my own thing. The athletic director, the same athletic director that had come into the school and started paying me, he said, you can go do this for any college, anywhere you want and get a full ride. You just let me know what school you want to go to and we'll talk about it and we'll figure out what needs to be done. So LSU was the only place I wanted to go. It was
Why?
It was either between LSU or University of Tennessee. I loved Tennessee.
Okay.
I loved basketball. As I said, I knew I was going to either go to Tennessee and film basketball or I was going to go to LSU and film football. And Tennessee had Bruce Pearl at the time. And I really wanted to go there, but my parents in high school had gotten a divorce, and my dad lived down in Louisiana. Louisiana was originally where our family was from. So I thought, I would love to go down closer to my dad and get to know, get to further our relationship as I go to college and not be a 12-hour drive to go see dad or family, et cetera. So it was really a geographical decision, and decided to come and play, film for the LSU football team and go to, broadcast journalism school at LSU, and love the food. Food always
Food keeps you
plays.
here.
I wanted some crawfish, really.
Yeah, I get that. Okay, so coming back to your roots was the big pull to come here. I mean, because if you're in Memphis, right? So
Correct.
if you're in Memphis, Tennessee, and you're thinking, where am I going to go to university? And you have a Tennessee University, and it's like, how in the world did you throw this dart on the map for LSU?
Yep.
Nonetheless, what was your experience like here? First, did you get the full ride?
Got the full ride.
Love that.
You don't start out first semester in the full ride. They have to vet you and confirm that you're actually, you've got the talents.
And you weren't like, here's 6 years worth of footage that I
Yeah,
created myself.
there was,
Here's some highlight reels, some
I
promos.
was able to get the scholarship beginning my second semester. Normally they don't give it to any freshmen, but they were able to swing it for me. That program at LSU, when I was there, it was 5-6 of us on the video staff. And now I think there's 10 or 12 video staff, student members outside of the 3 full-time members. And Doug Oakwin, who was my boss at LSU, won Video Coordinator of the Year last year. He's renowned in the collegiate athletics world for what he does with LSU and what he's done with LSU now for many decades. So he was a great boss and mentor to work for and learn a lot of the ropes about working for and producing content and, doing what LSU does, which is on a different scale than I had ever done.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because of how much I look at media and what people do and the quality and the kind of work they put together with the cameras, but this year I've noticed so much more video people on the ground for everything in Tiger Stadium with their gimbals, and they're walking around the whole time through everything. I'm like, I don't know if it's just me or if other people are noticing, I'm like, this is like the level of production is ramped up for 22.
Well, and so now LSU has launched LSU Gold, I believe it's called,
Yeah.
which is their own streaming content service. And so,
They got a lot of content to
as you
fill.
know, content is king,
Yeah.
and content is monetizable. So LSU is just pouring investment into that to create more content to justify the cost of their app and their subscription service. And they've got the content to show.
They've got the content, number one, and they've got I think a base of clients that are willing to pay for it.
Right.
And I think once because they haven't launched yet, right? Or have they launched?
It's launched.
It's
they
launched? Okay.
it to start the preseason,
Start the
where you
preseason.
could follow Brian Kelly's journey.
That's right. But football is not their only source of content. That's the big push right now.
Yep.
But I think what's going to be key to them is pushing their lesser viewed sports, their lesser attended sports. Because during the off season, people that are still so diehard sports fans, you're going to listen to talk radio, you're going to listen to people like the Jordy Culotta show.
Yep.
And you want something other than just football. Although if you could live football year round, sure. But there's a lot of other sports going on, and I think it would behoove them to do a lot more pushing of like all their other unique sports that not everybody's attending or watching as of yet.
Yep.
Because of the power that they have with the platform.
That's right. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Obviously, football is what grabs the people in,
Yeah.
and then they'll be able to produce more and more of that content and continue to follow these journeys.
Yeah, it's I think what pulls people in is those first 4 notes from the Tiger Band.
Every time.
Every time, just send chills right down every person's body.
And I didn't care, when I was in college, and whether when we had that home game. And I was a lot of times the in-game editor or a runner, and so I would make sure to be down on that sideline when that band started marching at 15 minutes out from the game, and I knew right where to be and right where to stand on the sideline to get those 4 notes right in front of you, and that just the chills down your spine every time with those 100,000 people surrounding you was just the coolest thing every game, and I never missed it in my 4 years.
It's electric. Like, just send something through you.
Yeah.
And I know that they just did something. I'm hoping that they did something just as powerful for the after-game band-off that happened with Southern and LSU.
Yeah.
Because those that stayed got a treat.
They did.
So you're at LSU. You realize this is it. This is what you're going to do for your career.
Yep.
Now, you've been doing this as yourself throughout 7th and 8th grade and all through high school, getting paid by parents, getting paid by all this, leveraging your skills in sales. You knew how to sell the product, the end product at least.
Yep.
Now, taking this after graduation was your first step to, I want to take this and scale it out to be what you are today with JCW, or was it a different route all entirely?
So when I came down, I was actually the first few months of freshman year, I was actually pretty homesick. I'd come down to LSU. Not very many people come down to Baton Rouge from Memphis. Obviously, you got your Ole Miss, your Mississippi State, your Arkansas, your Tennessee that are really common. Vanderbilt, if you're the smart one. So for me, I was filming practice. I mean, you're talking about 3.5, 4 hours a day of snaps, all 22 angle, end zone angle, going up 50 feet on a lift. So I had gone from being creative and getting to film games and getting to film highlights and cool shots and producing those types of videos to coaches' film of practice of every snap. So I got online and I built my website. Freshman year, I said I got.
What platforms did you use?
I used at the time it was webs.com. Okay. And since been bought up and rolled up into Squarespace, I think. But with that, it came with $100 free Google Ads credit, which they still do. If you build any website, you're going to get $100 Google Ads credit.
But at the time, that went a lot further.
It did.
That went a whole lot further.
Again, inflation.
Yeah. No, I just attribute that to Google.
Yeah, it's valid. So I built my website that we do video production work and photography work and design work. And at that point, I had built a website or two in high school for some friends. So I just built a website and I did that Google ad credit. And from that Google ad credit, I think I got a couple $1,000s worth of business, whether it was some weddings or a small promo video. And so I started in freshman year while I was working at with the football team, while I was at college, just starting to sort of do commercial work.
So you're a madman. You're doing commercial work, attending university, and filming for the university.
Correct.
I mean, that's like the trifecta.
I had priority scheduling as a football player, so I got to pick.
Wait, they labeled you as a football player?
I was technically on my fee bill. If you remember the fee bill from LSU,
Yeah.
It was football program scholarship, football player scholarship. So
could you Letterman in then?
oh yeah, I have championship rings. I
my
have
gosh.
LSU Letterman jacket. I have anything that a football player got. I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of LSU swag that is in a box in my attic.
In a box. You need an LSU room.
One day.
Make it your office. Come on.
Yeah.
I've seen your new building. You got some space.
Thank you. So, it was about juggling time. I booked all of my classes to be done by 11. I would go to 7:30 to 10:30, 11 or so. And then I would edit, for a few hours for my personal work. And then practice was at 2:00 every day. And then we practiced from 2 to 7 every day, and then would go home and knock out whatever schoolwork or video work was needed.
So you were like an entrepreneur from the get-go. Starting with cutting grass to moving into 7th and 8th grade, you never were like, what company does this that I can go work for? Your mindset was more of what client can I get that'll pay me money?
Right.
Wow. So so you had already started the company at LSU.
Yeah. So started the company, got an LLC, online in my dorm room, I remember, and started the company, if you will. And then later that year, I bought a house. The guys that I was rooming with.
Wait, freshman year?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore.
So
okay.
after lived in the dorm, and then I bought a house, and I wanted to be in the Garden District. At that point, I knew I wanted to stay in Baton Rouge. I had fallen in love with the culture here, the food, the people, the community aspect. LSU, the football program, it had just enlightened me to a lot that I enjoyed, and so I said I wanted to be here. And my sister had graduated LSU just before me, and so she was like, she told me where I should look, and I found a house, and I bought that house. And then a few months later, and actually while I was in the process of buying the house, the office that we would eventually have, I looked at it, told my friend I was with, I said, one day I'm gonna buy that office when it goes for sale, and,
no way.
And I'm gonna put our office there. And 5 months later, it went for sale. So I totally bit my tongue on that because I was not expecting 5 months later. But when I looked back in the property tax and in the rolls, the last time it had changed hands was like the 60s. So I was like, I know I've got to get my hands on this. I watched the property. It was for lease. But I knew that they wanted to give it up. And so I watched it for about 4 months for lease. Drove by one day, sign had changed to available. I called the agent. I said, does this mean I can buy it? He said, yeah. I met him in the morning on Saturday, toured it, had an offer accepted by Sunday, and we were under contract.
And how long ago was that?
That was in 2012, so that was 10 years ago.
Okay.
We've now owned that building for 10 years, and we moved out of it about 6 months ago into our new property. But I bought that when it was the summer between sophomore and senior year at the time. I mean, sophomore and junior year, excuse me. I used it as a studio. I used it as an edit, an editing office. And then sure enough, a few months later, I hired my first employee. And so I would get up, I would go to school, I would do some classwork, I would head back to the office, I would check in, then I'd go to football practice. I knew I had to finish college. I knew I had to finish what I had started. So junior year, and I had been going to summer school throughout college, so I was able to graduate a semester early.
Okay.
And so I did it in 3.5 years everybody had told me since day one, you do not want to hang around the football program after the bowl game for your spring semester when you are not coming back, because you're no longer attached to the next season and the next year, and who cares about spring football? So I needed to get done, and obviously I was eager to get done and start focusing more on the business. So graduated in 2013, and then just have been full-time, never looking back since then.
So hiring your first employee as a college student, what was that like?
Well, I had no clue what I was doing. So, let's remember I went to mass communications school. It was not business school. So I didn't really know how to manage people or any of those things. So I did the best I could and, learned through it. Had new people, these were part-time, team members at the time, to do what it needed to be done. At that point we were doing weddings, we were doing commercials, we were, walk-ons called us back in the day, and had already bought airspace where they needed a commercial the next day. And Brandon called me, and we went up to the walk-ons on Burbank, and we filmed some people eating lunch and threw together a commercial, and they ran it the next day.
Love it.
So it was just about finding the way through each job and through each client need, and trying to understand the client and what they were looking for. And, being a part of the football team, I was meeting people. I was getting introduced to this guy who does that, or this guy who needs that. And then my boss as well, being the video coordinator for LSU football, would get calls. Hey, I need somebody to do this. And so he'd say, I got a student that loves to do freelance and to do additional work. So that's how I really got started and got going over the years.
So the first hire, were they older, younger, same age as you?
They were 1 or 2 years older than me.
Okay, so not a significant age difference. You didn't have to deal with that.
Correct.
Age difference, kind of awkward conversation where it's, you're 10 years older than me and I'm your boss.
Yes.
That can be tough for, especially people getting just started out within the world of business and not having that background of management and working through everything. So it sounds like you kind of skirted that pretty well.
Yeah.
So when do y'all still do weddings and all that stuff, or?
Yeah, so we did over the years, and I had started weddings. The algebra teacher that was the basketball coach, he was also my first wedding to film, and I did his wedding when I was 13 as well. So it was right in the beginning days. So Mom dropped me off at his wedding, and then hung around until the ceremony was over, and then took me to the reception, and I filmed at the reception and made their video. And from that point on, when I was 13 doing my first wedding, I stopped doing weddings about 7 or 8 years ago. And so over that time, I did 560 something weddings.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. I do not miss it.
What? I mean, I know why you wouldn't want to stick around with filming weddings if you're doing so much corporate work. But what for you was the click for, hey, let's hang up this product?
Everybody tells you, and you get told constantly, hey, you got to give up weddings. Once you give up weddings, you'll be able to you'll open up a new world, But when you've got employees and you've got revenue coming in, and
you got to make payroll,
right? You got to make payroll. And so for me, it was a few years that I fought it, of like, no, we got to keep it. We got to keep it. And then as the business grew from a revenue perspective, and I saw the corporate work in its consistency, because that's the thing about project work and weddings. Weddings you can have booked for 2 years. You can have them out, and you can forecast financials because when weddings are coming in. But when you're working for corporate clients and it's just fly by the seat of a project, then 1 month you've got this revenue, and the next month nobody calls, and you've got no revenue, and you've got team members. It was once we were able to build a book of business and build a clientele that we had consistency and we had recurring revenue where I knew I could properly provide for my employees and make sure that everybody went home with a paycheck. was when I was really able to look at the P&L and say, okay, we need to let go of weddings. It's nothing more than not a waste. It's nothing more than a time suck for us. We need to focus on our corporate clients and our commercial clients and what we do well for them.
Right, because your wedding, hopefully you only do one wedding for one person ever. And so
there were a few that there were multiple over the decade and a half.
Yeah, people call you back up. Hey, that first wedding you did such a great job. Come to my second wedding.
They'd ask for discounts the second time. You think they're going to get a volume discount?
Volume discount on weddings. So anyways, but with that, it's not recurring, right. And it sounds kind of like your whole model of being an entrepreneur was finding that business or that product that could give you recurring revenue. Whether it was cutting grass, you knew the Smiths needed their yard cut every single week, and it was $25, $30, whatever the price was. Yep. You knew you were getting that every single week. Yep. Where with the weddings, you could have them booked out, but you're only going to get Mr. and Mrs. Jones once. Hopefully, you're not going to get them every single year.
Right.
And with the corporate clients, it was more that, okay, they may need something next week or the month after. And so when you have these corporate clients, how are you working with them to do two things? First, ensure that you stay in business, but two, ensure the products that they need still fit within your wheelhouse.
Yeah. So for us, over the years, I had seen clients come and look for projects. And for us, the bane of my first existence at the beginning was clients would have us produce content for them, video content, photo content, graphic content, but they didn't use it. We would hand it over to them. It wasn't in our scope as a production or creative agency to take it and have it hit the market for them. So I would see these videos. I would go back to a client 6 months, 12 months later and see they had 13 views on their YouTube. And I'm like, hey, what did y'all do with this? And nothing. We didn't put it on our website. We didn't put it on social media. We didn't engage in a campaign. We didn't use it. And so I realized that clients would come to us because they knew they needed a video and they knew that we were a great place to do it, but they didn't know what to do with it after. And so I started realizing that clients needed not only content creation, but they need that delivery. They need the execution of sending it and engaging it and seeing how that content affects their following and grows their following. Sales are about touch points. It's constant touch points. And the more touch points you have with a prospect, the more likely you are to sell them on a service or a product. It's not very complicated. And so we started then putting together, more project proposals and quotes for clients about great content or great things that they should do. And then you would give it or you'd deliver it to a client because they had that cost line at the bottom, they might not do it. And they'd sit on it for 6 months when really you knew that was, they really should have invested in that at a point so that it could have achieved what they were looking to do. Now that they've waited 6 months, we got to go back to the drawing board. And so we knew that clients wanted consistency in their budget. We knew that clients wanted to know what they were going to pay with marketing, and we knew that clients had come from other marketing agencies where one day they're paying $30,000 over here for a website or a project, and then the next day they're paying $14,000, and the next day they're paying, and it's this constant fluctuation for a client. And so many of them are scared of marketing or content creation because of that price unknown. So what we do is we work with our clients to identify a budget. We work with a client to really assess their needs, get to understand what their company does. Every company, no matter how big or small you are, no matter what service or product you sell, you need a marketing plan. If you have goals, you need a marketing plan. What that marketing plan looks like differs. It differs from different industries, different types of clients, different sizes of companies, and different goals that they all want to achieve. If you want to grow faster, then you need to market more, most likely. And so we started to really understand our clients' goals and needs, and we started a different approach of putting together a plan. a plan for 6 months, a plan for 12 months of this is the content that needs to be created. This is the type of content that needs to be created. We might not know in 6 months what exactly we're going to make it about, but we know that you're going to need a case study, and you're going to routinely need case studies. You're going to routinely need other spotlights or forms of content, depending on what your business is. So we started building out a model, a marketing plan for the year, and then dividing that plan by 12 months and giving it to our clients as a set monthly budget so that they know what they're going to pay, yet we're executing. And we're not making one-off decisions based on doing that video, doing that, not doing that because of price. Every month we're showing up to their meeting. They're not showing up to the meeting with us saying, hey, I want to talk about this. This is what I need an update on. We're showing up to the meeting, leading their marketing meeting for them, presenting to them, telling them where we are, what things we're working on, what the next campaign is, asking them for feedback about what they're seeing, what they're hearing, showing them the data of what we're seeing, and asking that if that aligns with what they're getting and seeing on their end. So we find that a client committing to a budget, now we can all work together to have ideas and come up with great solutions. And we don't go back to a client. If we come up with an idea for a new type of video, we don't have to go back to a client and say, it's going to cost another $3,000 to do that. Oh, well, that was a great idea, but I can't afford that right now because I've already got stuff that I'm planned for expense-wise.
Yeah.
Well, great. Well, that does nobody any help. So if we have a set budget, now we can create. And when you call us and tell us, or you tell us that you're going out next month with a great customer and you're going to do an amazing lift with your, crane, and it's going to be an amazing shoot, we're going to send our drone pilots out there and we're going to capture that content, even though it was never on our proposal. But our proposal was to create video content, photo content. Our plan was to capture your work as it happens. So we're not wasting time talking about money and all that. We're executing. We're coming up with great ideas. We're creating the content. And we're getting it out because in today's world, it's about timeliness as well.
And going back to what we talked about in the very beginning, the authenticity of the timeliness content you're getting out there. Like you said, they say, we're going to a great installation. We're going to a great lift, whatever it may be. We're going to come and capture that. We're not going to sit you down and give you prompted questions and have you answer that, and then we'll pull content from there, which some marketing firms do.
Yep.
It's no, we're going to go and be in your warehouse, be in your office spaces, film that phone call with you that you're having with a client, and make sure that we can pull that and use that for your content, because that's what's so authentic to your viewers and your next potential customer. You need the content of asking you these bullet questions. That's your About Me page on your website. Now let's focus on the other side of your marketing plan and getting that content out there that's authentic you, showing people you do all of this. I didn't know you do all of that. Well, now we can showcase it via marketing and via these videos in a platform that is not something you may first think, oh yeah, we got to be on there posting X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And this content is your asset as a business. And that's something that we love because we're capturing this content routinely, and we're going out and we're filming that lift or that installation or that final product or our clients in action. But as we work for them time over time, month over month, we're building a library to where now we can produce an end of the year video and check out everything we did this year because it's the end of the year. Or now when that client calls us and says, I just got an opportunity and we're going down in a day and a half to present to this client. Can you pull together a video that we use in our sales pitch that's specifically tailored to them or their industry? And guess what? Because we have a library and because we have organization, and we can throw that into our production schedule. We can get a video made this afternoon from our server, and we can deliver something that now you can go and win big. And now we've just helped you reach that next level because you got a team behind you.
Yeah. Which, that level of detail and that level of marketing, like every company needs that.
Yep.
And if they don't have the room in the budget for a full staff under them, then outsourcing them is the way to go.
Correct.
Because you have that whole team. You're handling payroll. You're handling X, Y, and Z within your own company, that all they have to do is worry about that monthly fee and the services being provided.
Yep.
And that just allows companies to go from here to the next level without them even realizing it.
Correct.
instead of hiring an intern to pay 30 to 40 bucks a month on Google ads or Facebook ads to push a photo or a graphic they made on PowerPoint.
Yep. And so commonly we see clients that just didn't have a holistic strategy.
Yeah.
You know, they'd been throwing darts at the wall, seeing what sticks, and they did a good job of trying all these things, and they might have all worked a little bit here and there, but when you put them together holistically and you do them consistently, which many people also fail to do, then you're gonna gain results from it. The most common thing that I hear clients say is, this has always been something we've wanted to do, but we just have never gotten the time to get to it. Or we never thought it was something that we could afford or pay for. Or we didn't know where to turn. Or the previous agency that we work with said they were going to do a bunch of stuff and didn't understand what we did because they didn't even care. So, you know, with us, it's about asking questions and learning. We're not perfect by any means. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to mess things up. We're going to, we're going to not do well. Yeah, we are human.
No way.
But we're going to make it right. Whenever we mess up, we're going to pay for it. We're going to send it out, a correction. We're going to make it right. But we do the best we can, and we try, and we care.
I love that. So as we start to wrap up the show, we have a set list of questions we like to ask everybody. The first one is, which I think I may know the answer to this question just from hearing your story. What is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today? And don't you tell me it's cutting grass, because I know that's not something you still wish you could do.
It's not. What did you think I was going to say?
Film people.
I get to do that still.
Right. So what is something else you did as a kid?
I was a runner.
Okay.
I ran all the time. All the time.
And why'd you stop?
Time. It's something I would love to do again. Just gotta get up early enough.
Well, I mean, I hear Varsity Sports has a good running club in the afternoons or in the mornings. I don't know their timing, but, hit Jenny Peters up. I'm sure she'd
They used to run by my old office constantly.
See? They probably run by your new office, too.
Yeah.
You're close enough. They're
Yeah.
probably in by your office. So.
They usually end at a bar, which I'm in full support of as well.
Right, and you're close to Mid-City Beer Garden, so.
That's right.
Just finish there and then walk back to your house, to the office.
That's right.
So what are 3 lessons you've learned along the way?
You're going to make mistakes. That is definitely one lesson I've learned. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to piss people off. You're going to do things wrong. You got to learn from them. You got to do the best you can. You got to learn from your mistakes. You got to move forward. And if you can do that, you're going to get better. And that makes me sleep at night in here, and that helps me wake up tomorrow to be better. The second is no matter what you do, you're going to hit challenges in the plan. Things are going to come up. So you've got to attack the day, but you've got to have that adaptability to take that challenge or take whatever's come up, even though it's not as perfect as you thought it was going to be, and you got to figure out plan B, and you got to work towards it. And the last is every day you just got to show up. 90% of this world just doesn't show up. And we see it a lot. Whether it's, people that we're hiring or customers, clients, team members, or, things like that. You just got to show up. That's the first step. And if you listen and you ask questions and you do your best to understand, then you're going to get there.
I love that. Yeah. Showing up is 9/10 of the solution, right?
Yep.
Okay. So what is something you love about Baton Rouge?
I love the people, the food, the culture, the atmosphere. I know these are many things, but in Louisiana, they all tie together.
It's all big, like one circle.
It is. And you go other places, and of course, other places have it. They have, great food or great atmosphere, or great geography, or great nice people. But in Louisiana, it all comes together in one, and that's what makes it so unique. Like I said, I'm from Memphis, and Memphis is a great place, but this area has its own culture and its own feeling. And I know it sounds cliche, but unless you've been around many, many places, you don't really understand it.
Yeah, no, that's very true. What is something I can do to help you?
Something you could do to help us is educating people about content. And that's what you're doing, true, authentic content. I think so much in this world we try to put on a script, or we try to use a stock photo, where something's perfect. And like I said earlier, nothing's perfect. There's gonna be mistakes. There's gonna be blemishes. There's gonna be things that are wrong. Companies are gonna mess up. Companies make mistakes just like people, because they are a group of people. And so educating people about being authentic and real. And we live in a society that's lawyer hungry, and we get sued for saying things, and we're in a cancellation, and all these things. But the more we can be authentic, and the more we can learn from our mistakes and move forward together, the better off we'll be.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's documenting your true self and making sure that what you're putting out there is real, authentic, and I think content is a beautiful way of doing that.
Yeah.
Whether they're doing something in-house, they're doing something external, you have to get content out there for your brand. Wherever your customers are, wherever your potential customers are, it's got to get delivered.
Yeah. And so, people are scared to put out that content. You might upset somebody. Somebody might not like you or like the content, and that's okay. Something that we tell our clients is, when we do this, we're going to find people that aren't your clients and people that are your clients. And that's good, because you don't want to work with people who aren't your clients. Disqualifying clients that aren't your clients is a good step as well, just like finding good clients that are your clients.
Yeah. You can't please everybody, but find those that you can please and make sure you treat them right.
That's right.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, John.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time and hearing your story. There's a lot there, and you've done a lot over your life, and I appreciate you continuing to do that for other businesses and showing them the power that content holds.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. And thank you, everybody else, for listening or watching the show. I really appreciate it. I know the guests do as well. If you're a business and you're on the fence about what do you do for your content strategy, just give John a call. Give their team a call. At least just sit down with them and talk with them. If you don't end up going with them, maybe they'll advise you in what ways you can do it yourself, or maybe somebody else that'll fit your better need. But at the end of the day, having a strategy from the January 1 to December 31st, and that is an ever-evolving strategy. You need it, regardless of the business that you are. So it's time to stop saying we thought about doing it, or it's time to stop saying, we'll get to it eventually. It's actually time to do it. Show up, get it done, and make it happen. Thank y'all so very much for listening and consuming this episode of The Patty G Show. I'm your host, and a big, wonderful thank you to the amazing sponsors that make this show possible. Hear a little bit more about them right now.
Sell your home for a $399 flat fee with Falaya. No, seriously. Falaya will list your home on the MLS and help you get all the way to the closing table for as little as a $399 flat fee. Our online platform is insanely easy to use and will save you thousands. If you're thinking about selling your home in 2022 and want to keep more of your hard-earned equity in your pocket, you need to check out Falaya. Falaya, real estate.
Thank you all so very much for listening to this episode of The Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making The Patty G Show possible.
Imagine taxiing on a plane looking toward the end of the runway. It seems so far away, it's even hard to see it. And that's what the concept of retirement probably felt like when you were in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, way far in the distance, not visible or even a concern. But as you turn 50, something happens. Retirement suddenly seems like something real, something not too far away. In your 50s, you are rolling down the runway. Retirement is getting closer and closer, faster and faster, weeks and months zipping by. But are you even ready for a successful takeoff to retirement? Fear not, there's still runway left. But the time is now. Time to make progress and time to get a plan. The Runway Decade will help you get organized, get energized, and give you the direction you need to take off to your desired retirement. The Runway Decade, building a pre-retirement flight plan in your 50s.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. How they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you to our wonderful sponsor, Lake Men's Health Center with Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group. Guys, I know it's tough to get out and go to the doctor. I know it's challenging to find time in our busy days, but I promise you, signing up to be a part of this group with Dr. Curtis Chastain and Dr. Tyler Boudreau, you won't regret it for several reasons, but most of those being the fact of the time it saves, where you're able to get in on the same day, get that appointment done, and spend that time you need to talk with them about what your health goals and concerns are, as well as ensuring that the financial investments you have, you will be able to live out and see those come to fruition. So if you're an investing guy, you know all about and planning for the future and investing in the future. There's no other more important thing to invest in than your health. Make sure you go check them out, Our Lady of the Lake Physicians Group Men's Health Center, and tell them Patty G sent you.